Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft2 video. For this one we're going to continue the bots tournament Gauntlet style. And yeah, last we left off on this bot of 70 ladders is with a victory by Bombshaker over Benbot, winning with much love, Mass Raven. Yeah, and next match he's going up against Snowbot, a Zerg bot that I feel is much stronger than this rank represents. I know when I play Snowbot, I win, but it takes at least 30 minutes. So this is not a bot I can roll over like other bots that are very low on the ladder. And in fact, I think I used to have a lot of issues with. Man, I guess I get the Zerg bots mixed up. I think Snowbot's the one I had a lot of issues with in terms of his lurker play. It was either Snowbot or possibly Popo. I might have said the same thing about Popo, so one of those is incorrect. I don't know which one. Yeah, so yeah, let's see how the Mass Raven deals with Snowbot. I think Hellion Raven kind of makes sense versus Zerg in general, so could be good. Anyways, this one is written by Spaceman, and it's written in Python. So let's hop right into it and see how it turns out. So as we load into this replay, it appears we are going to be on Submarine. Feels like kind of a smaller map, but an interesting map nonetheless. If it didn't have the ridiculously large Reaper jump, I would really like this map. But yeah, I think small maps would probably... Oh man, I don't know who that'd favor. Typically the Terran, but the Terran's kind of playing a playstyle that prefers larger maps as well, so who knows. Anyways, the challenger spawning in the bottom right, it is the red Zerg. It is Snowbot. Meanwhile, our returning King of the Hill, which has been rotating a lot recently. It's hard for a bot to get a 2-win streak. It is Bombshaker. Yeah, so I think we've had a bunch of 1-win bots in a row, right? Benbot was prior to this, and I think he only won one match, and prior to that was someone who dropped its first match to Benbot as well. So let's see if the Benbot can be, or Bombshaker can be our first 2-0 bot in quite a while. SCV being sent as a scout. Yep. Just checking out the main and the natural. We'll see the 15 hatch. The gas before spawning pool. And perhaps this is why Snowbot seems to be lower on the ladder than I suspect he would be. He seems to have a build that could be vulnerable to certain cheese. Obviously, he has macro play in mind, but that's a pretty late, like that's as late as you can get a spawning pool. Finishing the gas, but not populating it. I guess he prefers to go 16 and 16 on minerals first before going into gas, which is fine. It means you can't get Zergling speed right away, which is usually the point of getting gas before spawning pool, but you know, keeping your mineral income maxed out first is always a smart thing. Unfortunately, he does have a couple patches with 3 workers on it, which means he has 2 patches that only have 1 worker on it. So more of an advanced technique for your bot, something I haven't implemented yet, but just to ensure that there's always 2 on each patch. You need to like track every mineral patch and then associate that with a couple workers. Which is like step 1 to optimizing your mining, and then step 2 is to do what Scarlet Spot does, and that does an extreme version of high APM mining, which you prevent the deceleration of the worker and you end up mining so much faster than just letting them mine on their own. It's a weird, crazy high APM technique, but it allows you, you know, to basically go cheat mode and to get like 5% more resources than 5 to 10% more resources than should be possible. Anyways, with that said, we are seeing a similar build out of Bombshaker with the planetary at the natural. The Zergling does arrive in time to be a bit of a dick, but a couple of Marines will help clean that up. Just a Scout Marine anyhow. You can usually calculate the center of the map quite easily, and I'm going to guess that this Overlord was assigned to the dead center of the map. Like, look where we are on the mini-map. That's got to be like the perfect center. Equally as far from each of these corners. Okay, so assuming Bombshaker uses the same strategy in all matchups, I think what we saw last time was some siege tanks while he expanded and a Banshee. And I think that can be very solid versus Zerg. Zerg doesn't really have any offensive anti-air until they get Hydras, so the Banshee will do quite well. And obviously tanks and planetaries do well versus everything. I wonder if he puts the tanks behind the planetary when he's facing non-Terrans. This is the matchup where having tanks out front is obviously just a deficit, but it can be hard to place tanks behind the minerals. All of a sudden when you do that, you might start trapping workers, you might block your own gas guys from being taken, so you got to be really cautious when you try to place things behind your planetary. These Marines do get sacrificed, but they do make a nice circular pile of Zerglings for the planetary fortress. Yeah, a little neutral. I mean, technically it is out front, but it's not extremely far out front, especially since units usually come in along this path here. We do see an Overlord at the 3rd and 4th. That could be to spot those locations, but it could also be to block those locations if he gets a lair. However, we're not seeing a lair. We're seeing burrow. A baling nest and roaches. I don't know what to make of this. This seems like a... Well, we're only 5 minutes in. It's not a late lair. Stop talking nonsense, Getrock. He literally just made a handful of Zerglings, so we're not in the late game yet. Cloak Banshee is on the way. Layer upgrade has begun. So, hoping for Bombshaker's sake that he starts his 3rd base before this layer completes, because I suspect that these guys are going to start getting really sick and vomity as soon as that layer completes. Three more depots going down. Army size is very small on both sides, so both being a little bit greedy. And I don't mind that for either of them. Obviously, Bombshaker has the safety of the planetary and siege tanks, so he doesn't have to worry about making a large army count. Snowbot has a lot of vision out on the map, so he doesn't have to worry too much. Crate spread moving quite quickly across the map. Not bad to bonus beat your opponent's 3rd 6 minutes into the game. Crate spread's one of those things the bots can do almost perfectly. I mean, placing the next tumor immediately is something they can do perfectly. The placement of where to put the tumor, it might be a little more decision based, which is where bots can fail. Like, even that decision to push it in front of Banshees is probably not the smartest idea. This one will get up though. Yeah, so I said there's no anti-air on the offense this early, but there is when your creep's already across the map. With that said, though, he's just kind of bleeding these queens. Getting gunned down by the Banshees, by the siege tanks. Again, that's the end of this spread. Could end up blocking where his missile turret placement is, which may or may not matter versus Snowbot. I'm not sure if he goes into mutas or not. 3 Banshees and a Hellion are pushing back this queen. And really just drones and upgrades on the production tab. If we bring up units right now, you can see the entire Zerg force is 4 queens. That is not much at all. Got some Overseer and Overlord cocoons, but... Wait, Overlord cocoons? How's that different from an Overseer? Okay, so he made drop Overlords. Should we back up? I guess not. Yeah. I wonder if he's doing bailing drops. We had a chat about this in the community once about how powerful drop overlords would be and for bot. Because if you see a drop overlord heading towards your mineral line, what do? Right? If you don't react to it, you can lose all your workers to a bailing drop. If you do react to it, then all of a sudden, drop overlord, an empty drop overlord is good enough to shut down a whole base's economy. So it's hard to build a generic answer to dealing with a drop overlord. At least until you have the units to kill it. Yeah, so there is the poop we were talking about. So going to have trouble taking a third base is Bombshaker. I'm not sure if he has any code to clear this out. Pooping creep on enemy bases and burrowing and zergling in enemy bases is two things I highly suggest other bot authors do because it's super annoying to deal with. The amount of effort it is to code that into your bot is 1/10 the effort it is to deal with it in your opponent's bot. So pretty major engagement coming in here. We got a good amount of Hydras. There is vision with a whole bunch of Overseers, so these Cloak Banshees aren't going to do too well. And yeah, Hydra's kind of mopping up everything, even taking down a Raven. Viking's doing a little bit of work, but with that many Overseers, it doesn't really matter. He's not going to be able to remove the detection. With that said, that's the end of the Cloak Banshees anyways. It is, it's all Raven Hellion from this point forward, it seems like. I think the biggest issue is the lack of a fourth base, though. If Bombshaker gets stuck on third base, on 3 bases, that means he has to do a lot of work and he has to do it really quickly. It looks like this Banshee here wants to get repaired, and the SCVs are trying to repair it, but it's not in a position where it can reach. Same with the Banshee next to it. So these SCVs are trying to get out to repair, but they can't. That's going to be trouble. Not sure what these guys are hanging out here for. But when I say these guys, I mean a massive army supply. So for the longest time, we just saw drones and queens out of Snowbot, and now that is ballooned into 200 supply, maxed out Zerg with 120 army supply, but not getting on the offense. We just get a little weird, I gotta say, being maxed out. Creep spread seems to be more about pushing towards the opponent's base, so I noticed there's no paths going off to the sides. But just one path cutting through the middle is, in terms of like the performance boost it gives your units, this is kind of all you need. The rest is just extra vision, I guess. Yeah, don't know what to make of this. Obviously, a massive economic advantage for Snowbot. It's got the composition that looks like it can win, but neither bot wants to attack. Which, I mean, even though Snowbot can push out to win, and he's not doing so, also the longer this game drags out, the better it is for Snowbot. So he could win faster, but by not attacking, he's going to win better, I guess, because all these bases are his. Bombshaker is not going to be able to expand to this unless he accidentally kills the Overlord. Alright, clearing out some of this creep. Right. Okay, now we're going to get a major engagement. Whole lot of Corruptors. And they're kiting forwards. Vikings doing what they can. Auto turrets getting some shots on the Corruptors, but for the most part the ground got overrun. Yeah, Bombshaker, by killing some creep tumors, you release the beast. that forward siege tank obviously getting picked off, which is the downside of having it forward. I like to have him back here versus Elise Zerg and Protoss. So this one's far enough back that it's getting ignored. And just shelling away on those Hydras. Up to 4 Hydra kills. We did see what I saw there, right? Yeah, there's a couple Broodlords out, so rip your siege tank. Yeah, and with the priority of focus firing the workers, this planetary is actually not going to be able to hold either. So killing off all the workers, transfusing weak units. I mean, a whole bunch more SCVs arrive, and there's some auto turrets getting placed down over here. Was sacrificing Ravens in the process, though, but he might be able to hold the planetary in doing this. Which I guess is important, because if you're never going to get beyond 3 bases, then you certainly can't lose the 3rd base. But if we bring up the unit stat, the Raven count is down to 6, right? If it were 36, I could see possibly coming back from this situation where you don't get to take a 4th. But certainly not when you only have 6. Nice kiting by these Vikings, not so nice kiting by the Corruptors. I sense that this is going to be the end of that little Corruptor force. Possibly losing the Broodlords as well, I'm not sure. Queen is showing off its melee attack. It does have a different animation for melee hits. It's like, I want to show it off, and let me push right into this planetary. Free damage for these Broodlords. Obviously they're not going to kill the PF. But they'll force repair, they'll help protect these dumb queens that think that they're melee units. And every time the auto turrets try to come help, or the Ravens try to come assist, the Corruptors are picking them off a little at a time. And while the Corruptors can be replaced by this giant economy of Snowbot, these Ravens are kind of like, once they're dead forever. Very little gas being mined. Just these 6 gas geysers, and who knows how long they'll be around for. Well, I mean, a decent Viking force. The Vikings are going to deal with the Corruptors well, which means they'll probably deal with the Overseers eventually. And then these Banshees will get some more work done. It also means the Vikings will likely clean up the Broodlords as well. So we saw this transition to Broodlords, and once the Hydras disappeared, they kind of didn't come back. So it's still trying to expand, unfortunately, is Bombshaker having no success. He did save that up. He's kind of pushing over towards his 4th base. He did get distracted over here, but maybe there's some intention to clear up a base with this army. The unfortunate part is just the Raven count is so small. Mere 13 Ravens, even though he's getting a little bit of progress here. I mean, 13 Ravens is not enough to keep the constant auto turrets, so just blowing it all on creep tumors is not the most ideal situation. And unfortunately, no one coming over to deal with these guys, both the creep and the overlord. Still with air control, he is taking hits on his Ravens, even though the Vikings are mopping up the Corruptors. So what's going on with Snowbot here? What's his issue? He's lacking minerals. He's got 80 workers, so there should be enough for minerals. I think whenever he takes a gas geyser, he just fully saturates it. So when he has this many bases, he's kind of oversaturated on gas and undersaturated on the minerals. Because his army doesn't seem very mineral intensive. Maybe the Queens and the Hydras? But the Corruptors and Broodlords are certainly not mineral intensive. They're heavy gas units. Broodlord does go down to an auto turret. Another queen down. So I mean, units lost is probably looking great. Yeah, like 3 to 1, 3.5 to 1 for Bombshaker. Oh, and he cleared his 4th. That's massive. So you can expand there now. But will he? He's got 9,000 minerals. You think if he would do it now. Perhaps because he still sees creep here, he's not trying. Maybe he won't try at all, maybe because a long time ago, when he tried every expansion, every single one of them was taken. So now he just believes that there's no expansions left. All depends if it was coded well or not. But it could be this creep in the Fog of War that's screwing him up. That is going to be a big issue for bots to interpret that. There's a query command that can be used, but you're kind of not allowed to use it in this spot because the query command is a little map hacky. So he needs to send something there. If he can see that it's available, I'm pretty sure an SCV is going to try to expand there. These queens are soaking up a lot. They're eventually going down. I mean, they did a good job of draining all the Raven energy, I suppose. It's going to make it, these Broodlords a lot more difficult to take out. Viking count is actually only at 3. Maybe there's some being repaired. This Banshee looks like it's been here forever. He's at full energy. I think that Banshee broke. Pilot's taking a nap. Yeah, so apparently 3 Vikings is enough. Got through the Corruptors with some kiting, and now he's taking out the Overseers and the Broodlords. Ah, there we go. I think he ran out of minerals, so he's like, okay, let me just distance mine the nearest mineral patch, and then as soon as he did that, he's like, oh, an available base. Now, he did misplace the command center, unfortunately. Probably because he misplaced the missile turret first, leaving no spot for the command center to be in the correct position. But not a big deal, especially when you have like enough workers for 3 bases and you only have 1 base. And it looks like he's targeting, he wants to move on to the next base. And that's a key, right? Because if he can move on to that base and successfully take it out, he gets to expand again. And now with 2 fresh bases, maybe that Raven count gets up to something that's actually scary. Right now it's a 20. And 20, I would say, is decent. Not scary, but decent. Now, the number of auto turrets that these Ravens can place right now is pretty close to 0. Okay, it looks like they don't purposely put auto turrets down to kill creep tumors, so that's good. But yeah, taking a lot of hits. Hellions are kind of like throwaway minerals, they're not getting much done. But the Vikings are kiting well, which is important because the Ravens are not really respecting the Corruptors. So we need the Vikings to take out the Corruptors, otherwise these Ravens are all going to die off. Because they're taking a lot of damage by the Corruptors. Yeah, just the 2 Vikings right now, actually. Corruptors are taking a lot of hits from the auto turrets. So despite there being very, very few Vikings, maybe these Corruptors go down. Oh man. I think the Vikings are all getting repaired. So right now there's only auto turrets to deal with. The Corruptors, which is not good. Nothing left here to repair either. It looks like this planetary might go down. It's not the end of the world, but there was gas here. And gas is important when you're going Mass Raven. Especially when you have 20 gas to your name and 8,000 minerals to your name. bringing up the units tab, and you see he's only got up to 23 ravens during that time, just because he's taken so many hits from these corruptors. Okay, 2 Vikings are back on the offense. And there goes the corruptors. 1 more arrived. And it goes down. Okay, so now maybe these... Okay, another corruptor arrived. Man, I wish that 2 Vikings was like 6. And eventually you'll be able to overrun these corruptors. You can start eventually getting towards the broodlords. Because when the corruptors go down, the auto turrets and the ravens will become so much stronger. And then once the auto turrets deal with the queens and the hydras, then the Vikings can have free reign on the broodlords. So it looked like a comeback was in the works. Not so much anymore. I mean, he's got a base here, but it's not doing anything. There's no workers left here. I don't know where all the workers went off to. I'm not sure if they died or they just came home to repair or something. Yeah, I was thinking, you know, establish this, get a planetary, take out this base, which he was pushing towards. All of a sudden, he's got another base up. This could have ballooned for him. But I think at this point, it's more or less game over. Raven count's still decent. I think the ravens are all in dummy mode right now, though, because they're wanting to get repaired and they can't. It's like, don't do anything until you're repaired. Okay, we can't repair you. Yeah, these ravens are just being completely unmicroed at the moment. The Vikings are still being used. Yeah, but I think these, yeah, like some of these ravens are on full energy almost, which makes me think that they have codes that doesn't allow them to micro until they get repaired. So I think we're going to go ahead and speed this up now. Very nice win out of Snowbot. Apologies if I was probably favoring my Master Raven brother a little bit in the commentary here, but we will get to see you again in the next match. The crate spread did end up pushing off to the sides as well. So this is a very purple looking map. And nice ability to just expand and constantly keep that economy well ahead of your opponents. I'd have to look at this game again though to see where all those minerals went. I can't believe that just making like Corruptor Queen Broodlord would have you mineral broke off of 80 workers. I guess there was a lot of queens going down. In fact, we can bring it up now. We can find the information right here. So 63 hydras died, 95 corruptors, 71 queens. You don't see that every day. Yeah, okay, so that's where the minerals went. He obviously didn't lose many workers, which is a good sign, meaning that he had the aggression going all game long, unlike the 150 that went down for Bombshaker. But yet again, we do not have a bot that can put 2 wins together. Let us hop back to the ladder arena here. That was a long one. So Snowbot has taken out Bombshaker and will move on to face a very similar yellow bot in Sharkbot. It will be a ZVP. We haven't seen one of those in quite a while. And we got a bio for Sharkbot. I'm a chatbot. No, and you're a Starcraft2 bot that has ventured into the gaming and now Starcraft2. Hey, that's kind of true. Isn't there a Twitch chat bot called Sharkbot? Or am I making that up? I'm not sure. Okay, so this is a this is an autobiography written by the bot itself. I've spent the last decade scouring remote villages in the Alps of France and Italy to bring you the most exotic and repugnant cheeses. I always didn't get that at first. Chat me online or add me on Discord. eliteownage.com/Sharkbot. And I plug myself too often, I think. And using the Sharky framework, which is got a GitHub link for it. So I'm going to guess Shark Nice is the writer of the Sharky framework. That would make sense by the naming convention. So not only did he build this bot, but he built the API that allows other C# authors to build bots. So yeah, let's just power right into it. Bombshaker going down, so Snowbot will continue and to face a Protoss this time in a ZVP. All right, so this one is going to be on Golden Wall. And we'll see how the spawn goes. Golden Wall can sometimes be an issue for bots. Like say you have code to, when you expand, just go to the closest base. Well, they might try to go to this base, and this base is walled off, and that caused some bots some issues. So I think every author has had to write some special code just because of Golden Wall. But that said, it also opens up some map-specific opportunities, you know? Maybe you write something specific for this map to mine out these patches and start, you know, expanding this way, which can be like really safe. Anyways, I digress. Let me bring up the production tab and introduce these bots. So the returning King of the Hill will be Snowbot, who handily beat Bombshaker in the previous match as the red Zerg in the bottom right. Meanwhile, in the bottom left, we have the Protoss. It is Sharkbot. And possibly our first C# bot that we've seen. There is actually 2 frameworks you can use in C#. I believe there's another one written by Abathur, so options are available. So we're going to see a 2-gate opener. This is kind of like the perfect opener would be if you want to go 4 gates. You build the 2 gates, you chrono, then you go cyber. And while you're building units, you're chronoing out warp gates, and then you push for victory with the 3rd and 4th gate down. I'm not sure if that's what we're going to see out of Sharkbot, but it could be possible that it would work, because we know that that's a pretty late spawning pool out of Snowbot. Although with that said, a late spawning pool is probably the most ideal build versus 4 gates, now that I say it. Because 4 gates not like a really fast rush, right? So you kind of want to power up for a while and then build units. And this really late spawning pool allowed him to get the hatchery first and to power on drones. Still plenty of time to deal with a 4 gate. Alright, so remaining with 3 on each gas, a 3rd gateway coming down. We do have warp gate being chrono boost, so I might have called it. This could be a 4 gate. 1 Zell to harass with, I suppose. Proxy pylon across the map. So I think Scarlet's bot, which is a 4 gate bot, might have inspired some other authors. It's crazy, like we've had 4 gate bots before, but it's crazy how much better a perfectly executed 4 bot is, and certainly Scarlet is not one who's going to mess up the build order. So 2 gateways spends your money well enough, and then you chrono boost the cyber core as quick as you can. And as long as your 3rd and 4th gateway are done for warp gate tech, it doesn't matter. And then you make sure the 4th gateway is across the map, and that way you get the fast warp-ins. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a 4 gate. Zergling has arrived, seeing the lack of a expansion. I'm not sure if he's going to take anything away from that. Speed is going to be done, so that is very important when dealing with a lot of stalkers. And based on the 2 gas being taken fairly early, I'm sure this is going to be a stalker heavy 4 gate. Zella coming in to somewhat scout, somewhat get some damage done, I'm not sure. But he's trying to retreat, which you can't do against Lings on creep. And now they have speed, so definitely can't do it. I wonder if the Zealots are a response to seeing the high Zergling count, though. Normally, you just kind of spend as much gas as you can on Stalkers and only get Zealots when you don't have the gas for Stalkers. In this case, Maybe he's getting zealots because he faced so many Zerglings. But that said, they're not attacking. So, no. And he's also leading them back to his proxy. Oh boy, this is not going well. Okay, at least the zealot's attacking now. He's actually got an unintended nice spot, although 4 Lings can still get surrounded on him. Yeah, okay, so these zealots will get a couple kills, but they probably won't trade efficiently, and that is the end of the proxy location, and all of a sudden, we got a 3-base Zerg versus a 1-base Protoss. It looks like 1 Stalker is saved for defense as well. Again, a nice generic thing to write to help deal with harass, but not something you want when you're trying to 48 all in your opponent. Every unit counts, every second counts. The difference between 7 Stalkers and 6 will be like a 10% win rate difference probably. Lings are getting in. Getting a nice surround on the Stalker. He's going down. Some of them are running away. These Zealots are not sure what to do while the probes are all dying. The probes is like, we know what you should be doing. Get the hell over here. No, we're going to chase these. These unimportant Zerglings while we lose our entire mineral line. Ripperoni. Oh, here's the midpoint Overlord again. That's definitely the center of the map. So, 4 Stalkers and 2 probes to win it all. I think I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. I keep forgetting to close the time. My goodness. I'll be better next match, I promise. And by promise, I mean I'll be as likely to screw it up as I am this time. Are you afraid of the Overlord? Is that what's happening here? Okay. Did we see the Dropper Lords get used last match? I wonder. He's picking up Balings. So we might have missed this last time. So there's a huge downside to going Baling drops. And the downside is you already killed all of his workers. So what are you dropping? When he has nothing left, Balings have nothing to kill. Okay, getting a whole bunch of free drone kills. This is nice. That's going to add up to a lot because he's going to keep doing it. Oh, except he left. No, go back. Yeah, this is your key to victory. Stay here. Let him lose all of his drones trying to expand there. Alright, going in with a little push. Zealots are not attacking once again. Stalkers are trying to run away. So, yeah, I think even when you're trying to run away, you should still shoot every time you're off cooldown. Otherwise, you get this happening, where you're just running and not actually doing anything. Especially when you're trying to flee from a unit. Oh, nice. Especially when you're trying to flee from a unit that's faster than you. Yeah, so the end of this 1-base shenanigans is coming to foot, and it appears that Sharkbot will be yet another bot who can't string together more than 1 win. It's kind of interesting. We have like these bots going on win streaks. Now the streak is like, how many bots in a row can we have that cannot get past a single victory? Wow, that was wrong because the returning champ was actually Snowbot. I take it all back. Snowbot is 2-0 now. So he did break the streak of a whole bunch of bots who can't get a second victory. That was the answer. The answer was up until this game. I thought this was a broad unit, but it's just like a mini Zerg. Uraboo. Look at that creep spread. Beautiful. So we're at the point of this video where I should end the video and move on to the next one, but let's just do one more. Who cares? Let's just do it. We will load up the next match, and while it's loading, let's take a look at the next opponent. Snowbot will be facing Dan the Man 3. Okay. Sorry, let me hop back here. So Dan the Man 3 is another veteran bot. He's been around for quite a while and is quite powerful. Definitely takes games off of my bot. I've seen him take games off of Micro Machine even, who's the #1 bot on the ladder. Yeah, including right here. There's a win against Micro Machine. Looks like some games are being tested between Micro Machine and Dan the Man. In fact, multiple wins versus Micro Machine. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, so bot written in Python. And let's load up the game here. Go back and get this going. So, spawning in the top right, we have the challenger. It is the veteran Terran. It is Dan the Man 3. In the bottom left, the bot who I think is much better than his rank. It is the blue Zerg. It is Snowbot. So Snowbot's looking for his 3rd win. I think other than Terran 002, 3-0 is the best we've seen of any bot. So let's see if he can join the group of 2nd place 3-0 bots, I guess. I mean, obviously the winner of a Gauntlet tournament is whoever's standing at the end, but it's also interesting to see who wins the most games. Like, who is the best against his level of bots, you know? I just did a speed up out of force of habit. Slow it down again. So we're going to see a 15 hatch out of Snowbot. Meanwhile, Dan the Man taking a barracks and a gas. So Dan the Man, I think his biggest strength is probably his cyclone play. He's really good with cyclones, but cyclones alone are not going to be good versus Zerg. You know, they're not great versus Zerglings. They're not great versus Hydras. And then once you face higher tech things like Vipers and fungal growth are just absolutely horrible. So I'm not sure if he uses cyclones versus Zerg, but if he does, they shouldn't work out well. And if he doesn't, then he's not using his strength, or at least what I believe his strength is the cyclone. With that said, there is a version of TVZ called Battle Mech, which can work, and that is cyclones and Hellions. The Hellion buffer is really important. You got Hellions are there to mop up the speedlings, which can surround the cyclones and just to soak up hits from the roaches and the hydras, allowing the cyclones to survive. Because the cyclones are the big gas expenditure in the composition. Okay, we got something weird happening here. We got a proxy barracks with more Marines joining from the main base. So I guess, yeah, this was the first barracks at home. And then he proxied his 2nd rack, so a very late proxy. With a tech lab, but he's building Marines. I do not understand this build. Yeah, so 200 gas banked up. Needs 1 more SCV on the mineral line. I guess this guy can fill that gap. Marauder on the way now. No concussive shell or stim or combat shield coming. I thought he'd pick maybe one of those. You know, if he's going to do a 3 racks attack, you have time. By the time that kicks in, you have time to fit in one upgrade as well. But now he's expanding. So this is called the confusion build, right? Just try to scout and read and understand what's going on here. I dare you. It's like, I'm proxying, but I'm not. I'm getting an upgrade, but I'm not. I'm building Marauders, but I'm not. What am I actually doing? Picking an Overlord would be really important. I'm not sure if he's going to get it. This will get to the high ground in time, and then possibly they'll lose track of where this Overlord is. Oh wow, barely in time. 13 hit points. Another Marine coming? No. So triple Tech Lab barracks, and the push is coming now. Tech Labs with Marines. There's definitely some efficiency issues with this build, and efficiency is all important when you're choosing. And now these Zerglings are being very indecisive. finally engaging in the attack, but they lost about a third of their forces just kiting backwards and forwards. But that said, despite the lack of macro, just well overwhelming this. Unupgraded Marines versus 3 Queens and a ton of Zerglings is not going to perform well. With that said, despite it being a double proxy racks, it's not all in. You know, he does have an expansion, the second orbital going up. I would have liked to have seen this build make a little more sense, though. Concussive Shell finally coming. But so Marine heavy to have 3 tech labs. I guess against Zerg, you almost have to scout what composition you're up against too. Like even if the tech labs are producing Marauders and Concussive Shell, you don't want that versus Speedlings. But you do want that if you're facing Roaches. So... yikes. There's no amount of bot micro which will help you versus Speedlings. Unless the Lings are doing this. Okay. Lings are like, we're out of here, which means he's probably going to end up losing a Queen. They got so far off creep. 1 Queen goes down. That's actually important. If we're at the production tab, though, it's like all Zerglings on the production tab. So I like that reaction by Snowbot. He's recognizing the fact that he's being attacked, so this is not the time to be droning or to be building a layer or something like that. This is the time to be pumping out as many units as you can. Another Queen getting picked off. Yeah, but Speedlings are just so good versus Marauders. Even Queens are pretty good versus Marauders. I mean, no armored unit to take advantage of that double damage that the Marauders have versus armored. So, in glass half empty, all these Marauders are only doing half damage because they're not attacking anything armored. So can Snowbot go 3-0? It's looking quite good so far, and just bleeding off army units at this point. Still not letting off the Zergling button, which is good if he transitions into, like, let's go win the game, which he may. But obviously he doesn't need these Zerglings to defend at the moment. On the other side of the map, Dan the Man has been neglecting his economy. So despite having this natural for quite a while, he has not been able to fully saturate the second base. So really only on 1.5 base income. And, you know, units lost well in the Zerg's favor. Army size, you can see, is 53 against a mere 28. And the proxy is going to go down now, I believe. Unless they get distracted by these couple Marauders over here or something. So it looks like the barracks have the ability to pick up and save themselves, but not when they're producing a unit. So both these proxy racks are going to go down. Now he does have plenty of production at home. And heavily favoring the Marauders, which is you know, it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, right? And unfortunately, you are building as many rocks as you can to try to defeat paper. Yeah, like if this was a Roach build, it would be a completely different story, but this feeling's overwhelming. Snowbot is not transitioning back into economy, which is fine. I mean, you can just not build... Like, you can take the safe choice and drone up at this point. And when you're ahead, you just get further ahead. Or you can just go for the throat, right? I mopped up his attack. Then we just keep us both on low income. Who cares? Because I'm just going to go win the game. With that nice creep spread, the Queens are even able to get in on the fight here. A bunch of Zerglings are afraid to engage. Oh. Yeah, this Sling Micro is, okay, not afraid anymore. Cleaning up there, but these Lings, I believe, are trying to help assist over here. But they're trapped. So these Marauders are able to pick them off for quite a while. And the nice thing about that, not only do they pick up a whole bunch of Zerglings for free, but they're all stuck in their main base for so long that now he's actually clustered together a decent pile of units. And if we know how the Zerglings are afraid to attack into armies that they think are too big, so these Marauders might be able to pick off a whole bunch of Zerglings from range. Yeah, because the Zerglings, again, very indecisive. A couple more Marines coming to join. Yeah, indecisive again. If it continues like this game's not over yet. And like I was saying, he went for the kill move, right? So by going for the kill move, that means he did not saturate his third base. He did not... Well, I got just his third base, I guess. And all of a sudden we're seeing roaches on the production tab too. Which is not what you want against Mass Marauder. It's like, he's making nothing but rock versus my paper. Yeah, switch our production to scissors. Nice engagement by the Zerglings here. Looks like they finally decided to engage, which is nice. I was a little worried that they would just be hesitant the entire time, and then the eventually all die off to the Marauders. And then with roach reinforcements, that would just be perfect for Marauders. But again, back to a massive lead for Snowbot. Even seeing drones on the production tab now, so he will be joining up. And with no natural base for... Well, I mean, he's got a base of creep, so that's like a base. Yeah, this game is more or less over for Dan the Man, unfortunately. Creep spreading into his main base. Good luck trying to expand now. Even the bases that weren't covered by creeps are being covered by Overlord's version of creep. Yeah, now saturating up at his third. Beautiful. Yeah, so well done by Snowbot here. I was getting flashbacks to Sunzubot, who was making all the right decisions, but his decision of when to engage the army and when not to was like very broken in terms of the micro. The decision was correct, but he never really pulled back fully. And we're kind of seeing that out of Snowbot too. Like the Lings were like, we can attack, and like, no, actually we can't. And every time they did that, they would leak like five or six Zerglings. Wow, not even creep spread reaching the main base, but creep spread completely enveloping the main base. Alright, let's speed this up. Yeah, where are you gonna land? Where's your landing spot? You lift, it's a permanent lift. Maybe when they lift up, you should see like no creep underneath it. Maybe it should have to spread to that point. Like, should there be creep under this barracks at this point? I guess so. It's kind of off the ground. Yeah, not every day you see this. All right. Well done by Snowbot. That is 3 victories for Snowbot. He is 3-0 and counting. So only one other bot has done better than 3-0. So if he wins, he'll have the second best win streak, and he'll still be threatening the best win streak. So Snowbot taking out our Master Raven brother, followed by Sharkbot, and now Dan the Man 3, who is a very worthy opponent. And speaking of worthy opponents, we have another worthy opponent, the worthless opponent, who will be next. But we will save that for the next video, as we've gone almost an hour here. It looks like Snowbot is entering the Zerg zone, as it will be one Zerg followed by another. So enjoy the upcoming ZVZs. Some big name Zergs here, though. I mentioned before Worthless Bot having a deep run in the tournament and almost beating Micro Machine. Blunty and Durg much being like Snowbot, where they look much more powerful than their ladder rank actually says. Tyr is one of the top authors. He's won multiple tournaments before, and this is his Zergbot. And then Kagamine, possibly one of the most complex Zergbots that exist. Now, it hasn't been updated for over a year, so it's slowly dipping for that reason, but the bot itself is very complex. Even, I think for a full year without any updates, it remained in the top 10. It's only been finally dipping now. And I think that's just because it crashes on Golden Wall. So if it didn't automatically lose like 1 in 5 games because of that, it would probably be much more like, top 20. Yeah, and then now we're continuing into a whole bunch of much more familiar bots. Some of the big names, additional pylon, he's qualified for pro bots. Oh wait, I thought he qualified, but he's 24th. Does he have another bot? Do not know. Yeah, we're getting into the big names here. So this has been like really interesting. We got to see a lot of bots in this series so far that we haven't gotten to see before. We got a nice introduction to the botting scene by seeing some very basic stuff, but we're slowly getting into like the well-developed bots now. So, the idea of a bot crashing to lose the game, or a bot, getting stuck in a corner and losing the game, those things are probably going to be a thing of the past from this point forward. So, looking forward to this. But with that, we'll call it the end of this video. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.